with background music. So she's really worked very hard at putting this, 20 minutes or 25, 30-minute conversation about music. And she's going to sing some of her beautiful songs. And I leave you to discover her voice by yourself. And welcome, Fee. We are so happy that Fareed, introduced us to you, and you could be here today. Ritesh,
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, I will read out the bio of Fee, but Fee, welcome to Rotary Club of Nairobi. We are glad you're with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And all right. I'm going to now read out the introduction of Fee. If you'll just allow me a minute. Right. Hailed as a breath of fresh air to Africa's new R&B scene, Fee continues to break Kenya's music charts. The genre-bending artist has influences drawing from trap soul, R&B, and Afropop, a rare feat by a dreamer with a hunger to conquer the entire world artistically. Born in a tiny village in Sotik town in Kenya's Rift Valley, Phyllis Fee Mwihaki Getich has overcome amazing hurdles to be at the front and center of Kenya's music scene, accomplishing all this while finishing her real estate degree at the University of Nairobi. Having won DSTV's flagship star search competition, Maisha Superstar, in 2015, she secured a record deal with local label Innovator Music. With a tiny frame that hides a giant voice and even bigger ambition, Fee has put out 2 albums, Philosophy and Biography, under her belt, as well as numerous live shows locally and internationally. Known for her signature head wraps and Afrocentric sense of style, Fee is considered a fashion icon and an all-round creative with her abilities extending to eccentric music performances and creative direction on numerous projects. Fee has a huge career history in this short span of time. She has been the CNN Africa Voice of 2017, Airtel Trace Star Search First Runner-Up, Airtel Brand Influencer, starred in Tinga Tinga, the musical by BAFTA Award winner Claudia Lloyd, has been in voice acting and speaker at the UN SDG Forums in Bonn 2019, collaborated on several local and international projects, and has shared stages with many international artists like Tini Temper, One Republic, Asa, Stormy, and moderated many panel discussions on African music. So I would like us to all please give a very warm round of applause as we welcome Fee. Fee, would you like to start us off by maybe singing something?
Oh, sure. Hi all, I am Fee. I'm so honored to be here today. It's been a long time coming. And thank you, Rashmi and Ritesh, for just giving me this opportunity to just meet your members and get to know you all. Well, we decided we'll sing a cappella because it's a bit more, a bit more authentic. And then we'll have a guitar special at the end, if that's okay with you guys. Okay, so this first song I want to sing for you is called Jipe Shughuli. It starts on a bit of a sad note because it's for fathers that never came back, people who miss their dads or people who've never met their dads. And so the character in this song is saying, I have waited all my life for you to come back home, but then if you're not going to come, I'm moving on and I'm letting you go. So this is Jipe Shughuli. Kungoja nimengoja kwa umbali sikuoni, sauti na sahau, Imekuwa siku mingi, nimekupa siku mbili, ujionyeshe nyumbani, juu mwangaza ukitua, nina hili la kusema, wewe jipe shughuli, yeah. Nenda jipe shughuli, yeah. Wewe jipe shughuli, oh, nenda jipe shughuli, jipe shughuli. Yes.
That was absolutely wonderful.
Oh, thank you very much. It's quite a sad song, but I mean, we can sing it sweetly.
It has, I actually love the fact that when you're singing, we get so drawn into your melody and the manner in which you're singing, the mannerisms of the song and the voice and the tenor and texture of the voice. It's no surprise that you're one of the best voices in the subcontinent.
Oh, thank you, Ritesh. Thank you so much.
Sophie, tell us about yourself growing up and what shaped you into what you are today. And have your values, how do your values reflect in your music?
Well, I was born in 1993 in a small hospital in Rift Valley in a place called Kaplong. So I was born in Kaplong Hospital. My mom gives me the story that it was raining so hard and she had to get a friend to take her to the hospital that night. But that's where I was born. I was raised in Sotik, so I have been a village girl all my life. Born and raised in Sotik, spent a huge chunk of my childhood with my grandmother because my mom was working. So my grandmother actually was my biggest influence in music. She taught me how to sing. She has her own music career on the side going on, but she's a teacher, a retired teacher. And I remember I would spend a lot of time with her, going to classrooms with her. She taught at a school called the Gakurari Primary School, which is in Gatondo. And I would go there and she would teach English using Kikuyu. And so I learned how to speak Kikuyu very young, even way before I could speak Swahili or English. And I think that was how I got introduced to music, really. And then when I joined school, I spent a lot of time. I was such a nerd in school, so I spent a lot of time doing academic stuff. I didn't really focus on music as much. But my grandmother taught me how to perform. Every time a guest would come home, she would push me and be like, "Go perform." She would book performances for me in church from when I was as young as 4 or 5. And so I learned how to perform and to sing from her, and that has been, my beginning of how I became a singer. Yes. To answer the question about the values I represent in my music, I like to create an aspirational type of story because, the whole coming from the village, spending my entire childhood in the village. And I remember in the mornings, my grandma would wake me up to go and milk the cows and, go to the shamba with her. I like to create the story that you are born where you're supposed to be born, and all this ties into this big orchestration that becomes your life. And it's nothing accidental, and it's something very beautiful if you find the meaning and purpose of where you are. So I like to inspire. I like to talk about purpose and how creatives and even people in general need to align with their purpose so that we don't spend a lot of time on earth wasting time or seeking things or validation from things that don't really shape us, but really find an understanding of why we are here and allow that to align with our gifts and our abilities. So purpose, authenticity, and aspirational values are what I stand for.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
I like that you talk about your purpose and the values. And what I actually found very interesting is that your mother, actually your family, used to push you onto doing some acts, at the age of 5 to make you probably more acquainted with audiences. So I believe that's what's actually made you, maybe, would I say, confident and extrovert, or it's probably because of the manner in which they've allowed you to perform from a young age, correct?
Yes, definitely, yes. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And yeah, and to add, my grandma, I think I didn't have a choice because every time visitors would come, she would just be like, come and tell them a poem, come and sing for them a song, so it became a thing I would grudgingly do because I'm like, oh, I just want to go and play like everybody else. But now in retrospect, I owe it to her because of what I'm able to do today. Yeah.
Well, in that case, I think we should give many thanks to your mom and grandmom as well.
For sure.
So, before we go on to the next question, would you like to share with us another beautiful melody?
Oh yeah, sure. I have a song called Ruka. It features two rappers who are commonly known in Nairobi, Calligraph Jones and King Kaka. So it's basically an ode to African joy. So it's called Ruka. Okay. From outer space, out of this world, we come in peace. Tell your master, oh, we are taking over this place right now. And bring your crew, you can let them know. We in town, they should dress up for the show. We are bringing down this town tonight, oh. Mm. In an African party, we stomp our feet on the ground. We raise our hands in the air and say, yeah, 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 yeah. Ruka, leo hatula alijo, dunda asubuhi mpaka kesho jo, ashanare madem na machali tu, usijali hali mikono juu. Ruka, leo hatula alijo, dunda asubuhi mpaka kesho jo, ashanare madem na machali tu, usijali hali mikono juu. Yes.
I like how upbeat your songs are.
Well, those are the few ones. I'm quite the sentimental writer.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for
Thank
singing this
you.
beautiful song for us. So tell me, Fee,
Mm-hmm.
are there any record industries which you have approached? Or is
Hmm.
it a cottage industry?
Well, it's funny you ask this because I have been part of panels that the conversation is around African music and East African music, and maybe if I can give a brief overview of the African industry and where Kenya fits in that scope. Um, if, for example, if an investor wants to come to Africa and they're wondering, how do I invest in music in Africa? There's been the assumption by major record labels like Sony or Universal that, will come and pick somebody and they'll speak for the entire continent. But the African music markets is divided into different markets. So we have the southern market that includes South Africa and, the southern part of Africa. We have the western market that's largely dominated by Nigeria and Ghana. Then we have the northern market where it's, Algeria. And sadly, the northern market doesn't quite get to the rest of the continent because, it's the Arabic singers. And so it doesn't quite trickle down to the rest of us. And then we have the eastern market where, it's East Africa. So in this wide scope, we have varied structures and systems that exist or lack thereof. Um, and you find that the southern market, for instance, like South Africa, have a great structure in terms of their music. It's almost in relation to the Western world. So people are able to make money from music as an industry from royalties and, get paid and have a sustainable livelihood from music. And then for East Africa, in our case, like Kenya, we don't have a concrete, I would say our industry, it's more, we are on a baby phase. We are growing, but we're still very young. Some people call it a music scene and not necessarily an industry, but I beg to differ because I feel like we really are taking good or great steps, however slow. So there exists some semblance of an industry here. There's still a lot of work to be done in terms of developing framework and structure and systems to allow artists within um, Kenya to actually sustainably live off their music, because it does take a long time for Kenyan artists to get to that place. You have to build a very strong brand for a long time, and the money that essentially should be made by musicians in terms of income should essentially come from royalties, and that's a system we've not been able to follow through with. And so it's quite hard to say if there are record labels going around here that allow artists to thrive. So I can't say it's a cottage industry. I just say we are trying. That's the best way to put it. We are trying to create a structure around an industry. Yeah.
Thanks, Fee. But one thing which I have noticed growing up also in Kenya is that the music industry in Kenya is much larger than what it used to be. And right now, it's artists like yourself who are actually probably even lobbying to get everything in order to make sure that other artists are also encouraged to come in the forefront.
Yeah.
So we thank you for that.
Thank you so
And
much.
Fee, I would like to know, where do you like to perform? And where do you draw your inspiration from?
Mm. I like to perform everywhere. Weddings, I do everything. I feel like for most Kenyan artists, we've had to do a lot so that we can have varied income streams and have places we can make money on the side. But I would say I mostly love to perform in intimate spaces where I feel like I can authentically have a conversation with my audience and, kind of lure them into my vibe and let them understand what I'm about. I like to perform for my family. They're close to me, and I find myself just singing around them almost all day. Maybe it's annoying at this point, but yeah. And then I like to also, aside from just performing, sit down and have conversations with people, and relate and see how that inspires me to create music. So I would say my inspirations would be everyday life. I'm inspired by the people within the creative domain, my fellow colleagues, people I look up to. I'm inspired by the wider society in terms of, people who are out here trying to make a difference. I'm inspired by my son, quite literally, because sometimes he'll do something in his baby voice, and then I would be like, oh, that's a nice melody, and then I just go and steal the melody for my own songs. I hope he doesn't see this so that he doesn't sue me for intellectual property infringement. But yeah, so I'm inspired by pretty much everything around me. I'm an observer. I like to observe. I like to watch and see, and I like to listen to people's stories as well. And this is heavily influences my music and my craft.
You know, the first thing which came to my mind when you said that you like singing to your family to the point where they get tired. And I'm thinking, how can anyone get tired of an angelic voice?
Oh, it gets annoying. It does. It's all the time.
And the second thing which you mentioned is that you like listening to individual stories.
Yeah.
So before I request you to sing another beautiful song of yours,
Mhm.
can I ask you, talking about stories, you have highlighted about your journey growing up.
Mhm.
Could you share with us a little bit about your journey to the first album?
Mm, for sure. They always say like an artist's first album is like a summary of your whole life, because all your entire life has led up to this one body of work. And so, to be quite honest, I didn't grow up thinking I'd be a musician. I was quite the smart girl in school, so my plan was to be an aeronautical engineer. And mostly because, one, I wasn't exposed to musicians, so I didn't learn to value the craft. Um, Two, it was considered a hobby, and so it wasn't something I knew I could choose as a career path. So in school, I was very smart. I remember doing my KCPE. I was among the top 100 in Rift Valley nationally, and I went to a great school, Moi Girls High School in Eldoret, and a lot of that time I spent in music groups, but not with the intention of becoming a musician. And so when I finished high school, my mom conveniently moves to Nairobi. She worked for Barclays at the time, so she got a transfer. And when she came here, I was buying time before I could join campus. So I was like, maybe let me just perform. Let me just sing around while I wait to join campus. So that's how I started, and I started when I was 17. I'm 27 now, and within that time frame, I was able to meet a lot of people in the creative space. I was exposed a lot more when I went to music school, because I took up classes at the Kenya Conservatory of Music because I had never really studied music before. Took up classes, performed a lot, kind of gained a fan base, a little fan base. And then but then I started to give up maybe 4 years later because there was no ROI. And I was wondering, why am I, I felt like God was pushing me to sing and I couldn't understand who it was for and why I needed to do it. And so I spent a lot of time fighting this calling, as I call it. And right before I gave up, this was like 5 years into performing and, working so hard with my band. I remember I made a prayer and I said, God, just give me a reason not to give up if you want me to be here. And if you prove this to me that this is something you want me to do, then I'll give it my everything. So I ended up auditioning for a music competition called Airtel Trace. It was Africa-wide, and then ended up being second runners-up in the Kenyan leg of the competition. And then literally a few weeks later, I ended up doing another music competition by DSTV, which I won. Hallelujah! Ended up doing the other music competition. And that was an experience for me. And I think I was very green, and this competitions allowed me to actually observe from working musicians what a music career looks like, and kind of give it a little bit of a framework, and not just waking up as a hobby and just singing, and understanding how that this is more than the talent. It's also a business. So that's how I kind of started my journey into the first album. So by the time I won the show, I got a bit of money and a record deal, and then so I was able to sit down with this capital and record my first album, Philosophy. Yeah, it's called Philosophy with Fee, my name, so it's a pun, it's a play of words there. Yeah.
It's a very apt title, and thank you for sharing the story, the inspiring story to your first album. So
Yeah.
now we are looking forward to listening to another melody from your angelic voice.
Oh, thank you. Oh wow, this song I really love. It's a cover, but it's a very old song. I'm not so sure who the original singer is, but I know it probably came out maybe in the 60s or the 70s. I could be wrong. But it's called I Don't Feel No Way Tired. It's for anybody who's out there who's watching this and you feel like you're giving up, you're losing hope. I know it's been a crazy 2020. I know we've had ups and downs this year, but there's hope, and you didn't come this far to give up. You can keep going. Okay. There will be mountains that I will have to climb, and there would be battles that I will have to fight. But victory or defeat, it's up to me to decide. But how can I expect to win if I never try? I just can't give up now. I've come too far from where I started from. And nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe He's brought me this far to leave me. No, you just can't give up now. You've come too far from where you started from. And nobody told you the road would be easy, and I don't believe you've come this far to suffer. Oh, and I don't believe you've come this far to give up.
Fee, that is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much.
What a beautiful song. What a beautiful message. And
Yeah.
naturally, once again, the melody in your voice. Absolutely angelic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
So
Ritesh. You're making me blush.
tell me, Fee, you're now, I would like to know, you're part of an exchange program, right?
Hmm.
So what
Yeah.
is it about and how do you help artists who are junior to you through this program?
Mm. Well, I actually apply for a lot of things, a lot of programs, because I love to learn and I love to position myself in places where I can find opportunities. So this came by as an opportunity that was going around online within music circles, and I applied for it. It's called Art Exchange. It's a partnership between the African Union and the European Union in creating exchange for the creative youth within Africa and Europe. And so I just applied. I've applied for so many things and I've been denied so many things. I've gotten a lot of declined papers, feedback, but oh, finally this one worked out. And the program basically is a 6-week creative entrepreneurship course. It's almost like a degree crammed into 6 weeks. So it's very intense, very demanding, but at the end of it all, we the creatives who have been accepted into the program, we get to pitch our business ideas that we develop through the weeks with the facilitators, and then pitch so that you're maybe viable for a grant or a scholarship where you can actually go and study a lot further. So that's how I'm part of this program, just as a student, really. How I'd say this spills out or spills over to the people who I consider my juniors, though I still think I'm still a junior, is I love to actually rally and lobby my fans because I have a very huge following of young people, and I always lobby them and rally them to just, find opportunities. They exist. There's so much you can complain about. There's so much we can say does not exist, but there are other opportunities that are out there for us, and they're made for us. We just need to find them. We need to seek them out intentionally, be very intentional about learning, and because our knowledge is not absolute, and we will forever, I think, for as long as we exist in this moment, we'll always need to learn till the day we die. And so my message is always learn, seek opportunities, network with people. It's funny how Farid recommended me and I just knew him for 2 weeks. And he even I didn't even think he remembered my name because he always used to call me madam, so I figured he didn't even know my name. But I've always been so intentional about networking and finding people, like-minded individuals who you can exchange ideas with. And I think that's the message I'd like to pass to the people who look up to me. Yeah.
Well, Fee, as much as you think that you thought you were forgettable, when he was requested to look for a top-notch musician locally of of repute, and we went through the
Mhm.
list, and he was almost like adamant it had to be you. So
Oh, I need to buy him lunch or coffee as a thank you. So nice of him.
Sophie, tell us, you're a very well-known artist in Kenya, and you have also been involved in international groupings to promote music for peace.
Yeah.
Uh, Tell us more about this.
Um, I am actually part of a collective that's called Nyado. Um, Nyado is a collective of creatives from all over the world. So we have people who exist in Israel, some in Italy, and we just decided to come together to create what we call anthems for change. Um, Can you hear me? Am I breaking?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you. Um, so we do what we call anthems for change. So we use our creative voices for social change. So we basically partner with visionaries who are doing things in different fields like tech, um, innovation, pretty much anything, and then we create anthems around their vision so that we can make it we can translate their vision to people through music. So the first visionary we actually worked with is called Marco Attisani. He's based in Italy, and he has an amazing company called Watley. And Watley is basically this, it's this machine that looks like a spaceship that he actually has been putting around in the oceans for cleaning up oceans and water bodies, just clean up using solar energy. And so when we approached him, we told him we'd love to partner with your vision, and we'd like to write a song around your vision. And so we ended up writing an amazing song called Mission to Earth. Took us 2 years actually to create the entire project, to travel between countries, to come together and make the project work. And if you get the time, maybe you guys could go on YouTube and search for Mission to Earth. It's a musical film. You can get to maybe understand the scope of what we do. But we talk about many issues, and not just as you say, we're really passionate about the environment. We're passionate about the well-being of people. And so through our voices, our creative voices, we love to talk to people who are doing things and allow them to translate that into an art format.
Very inspirational, and I
Mm,
commend you on taking that initiative to be part of such a collective.
thank you.
Talking about inspiration and music,
Mm-hmm.
would you like to sing for us something to share with us regarding this activity?
Um,
Or any song of your choice?
oh, okay, sure. But well, I could sing the song from Mission to Earth. That's also a great one.
Sure.
Okay. Hey, walk with me. We're under the same sun, with oceans all around, yet it's not how it should be. Many of us fight for basic things in life, so let's bring energy and the IoT and water for our brothers. Now the time is here and the why is clear. We must take care of each other. This is a mission to Earth. With the astronauts, we've come to help back home. From the east to the west, this is a mission to Earth. We've come to help back home.
Mission to Earth. Beautiful, beautiful,
Mission to Earth.
beautiful.
If you guys need a Rotary anthem, I am your plug.
Well, you read our minds. You read our minds. I can see many of our Rotarians actually smiling. The screens have all lit up. How wonderful.
Well,
So
thank you.
that's beautiful. Tell me, what are your future plans with regards
Mhm,
to music,
mhm,
and what prevents you from
mhm,
making music all the time?
mhm. Well, my short-term plan actually is to actually work on a new body of work. I would love to work on a new album. Um, I also, I think I have quite understood. I had a tough year, I would say. When I finished school last year, 2019, and when I graduated from school, I was supposed to have signed onto Universal, the music label. And then I got pregnant at this time. And I remember in full disclosure, sharing this with them. And they were like, you know what, it's amazing. Come sign with us. Pregnancy is no limitations for women anymore. And yay. And then when I signed onto the label, I am yet to hear from them. I think a year later. They just ghosted me. And so when they did, I think that was my plan. I knew I was going to be part of this big machinery that will allow me to create music on a large scale. But then that didn't go to plan. But in retrospect, there's always a blessing in everything. I think one, it allowed me the opportunity to spend with my son and to kind of go back to what matters the most. And then two, I had always wanted to be a full-fledged creative entrepreneur. That has always been the goal in my life. It's like a house, and at the top of this apex is creative entrepreneurship, and then music, my passion for fashion and creative direction and speaking are all the building blocks for this house that's the creative entrepreneur I want to become. So I think it shoved me into that faster than I thought I would get to that space. And so I think what I am trying to do now in the short term is to actually establish that brand a little bit louder. I feel like I'm rebranding, and it's something I've been speaking to my fans about, telling them, guys, I feel like I'm changing, I feel like I'm growing, and I want to share this new journey I'm on of becoming a creative entrepreneur with you. And so it's so timely and very much aligned how I got accepted into this creative entrepreneurship program. I also work for a creative agency um, run by a gentleman known as Marek Fuchs. Marek has been the manager for Sauti Sol for the last 8 years. And so it's been amazing shadowing a creative entrepreneur I actually look up to. So my short term is effort to create a new body of work, to form some kind of structure and formalize myself as a business, which is my brand. And in the long term, there's so many things I'd love to do. I'd love to write books. I really think I can inspire, and I think I was born for influence, and I would like to write books. And I feel like my target audience is really the millennials, because I feel like our kids, and I say our kids as if I'm old, but you know, children like me, children like me, and the people around us are really struggling with a lot. There's a high spike of drug use. There is hopelessness, depression that's eating into the current society, and I feel like I really want to rally the millennials into a space of you are enough, you are gifted, you can do this. And so I'd love to establish some kind of you know speaking engagements or books that will speak into that as well. I would also love in the long term to have an art hub, a place where artists can come create, painters can come paint, DJs can come rehearse, just have this whole hub where artists can come and thrive. And lastly, I would love to be part of conversations that spearhead, some kind of structure and framework into our industry through legislation, policy making, you know, um, be directly involved in things that shape our creative economy. Yeah. And the second question, why I don't make music all the time? To be honest, capital. I've not been in a space where I've been able to afford to make music. I didn't have any source of income for the majority of the year, because I was home and I was staying with the baby. And then, so I would probably do a bit of side gigs here, trying to help my friends, maybe do music videos, just get some side gigs here and there. And then I finally got a job at this agency that allows me to make an income, but the plan is to save so that I'm able to afford to make music again. I would love to be consistent. I would love to to be consistent, really. So I think that's a major reason why I don't make music all the time. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Fee, for sharing.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
it's interesting when you talk about all your aspirations, but in all honesty, you're a brand on your own so far. You communicate so well, you sing so well, you've got an audience which is engaged all the time. You have a huge following, and in every aspect, even the headbands, and you're a brand on your own. In all reality, you've worked hard on it, and
Yeah.
well done.
Thank you so much.
And before I go on to my next question, I would like to call upon Rotarian Joe Muganda, who's with us on this call today, a member of our club. And I would like him to kindly give his views or share a comment with regards to the status of music in East Africa. Rotarian Joe?
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
See, first of all, thanks for what you've spoken about, I relate to as when I was MD of Nation Media Group. One of the things that really frustrated me was the fact that local musicians do not make money out of their efforts, and we listen to you quite a lot, especially on sort of started an effort towards that end. It's not exactly where we thought it would be, but I think it's something that I'll try and find a way of seeing whether it could be sort of a fire lit to make sure that it goes, because it is actually criminal that you can't from the royalties of the music that you make. And one of the comments I have is, without that, the youngsters will just not make it. And I think you make a great point in that you don't have capital to make music, and you're almost at the mercy of a lot of studios who will only give you goodwill if they so wish, not because you can pay your way through it. So it's a view that I hold very strongly, and I think must be driven. I'm not too sure you'll achieve it through legislation, but it has to have commercial sense, and the people who are benefiting, as in the radio stations, must pay their bills. Thank you.
Thank you, Rotarian Joe. And Fee, I'm sure that you must be elated to hear from him.
Hi, Joe.
Hey.
I think what he said is very, very important. And I think music exists in an ecosystem just like every other thing. And so in the middle, we have the artist, and then we have this structures around the artist, in terms of, the music education, the culture, the legislation. We have, I think I write these things down. We have the capital in terms of, who's funding what, in terms of, are investors willing to do this? And this could be just financing from banks and all these things, ecosystems that can allow an artist to thrive. And I think this ecosystem for a lot of us Kenyan musicians is disjointed, because as Joe says, truthfully so, a lot of musicians are under the mercy of goodwill, or under the mercy of people who have done this before and promised to take you somewhere, and then you never quite get to build something for yourself and sustain yourself within that thing that you're building. So I think there's a lot of structure that's needed. There's a lot of follow-up that's needed. As Joe says, one of the national music policy of Kenya, for instance, has a clause that says that 60% of the content that should be played in Kenya should be local content. But then we've ended up in situations whereby maybe that hasn't been the case. And even if so, we haven't had royalties being collected, because all over the world, royalties are the number one way that, musicians make an income. But if we end up spending so much to create a body of work, and there's never really anything substantial that comes back to us in return. And so we have a lot of great musicians who give up, a lot of great musicians who end up finding alternative things to do. And it's quite sad. It's quite sad that that's the reality. However, I think there's promise, because there are people, for example, that I look up to, like Mudhoni Drama Queen and Blinky Bill, who have adopted their own kind of business model that allows them to export their music. So you'll find that locally they're not as known. But I played a gig once with Mudhoni in Germany, and everyone was singing all her Swahili lyrics, and I was shocked, So she's quite big somewhere else, because to her business model is, let me just export this music, because if I take it to a different industry, that industry will be more rewarding to me. So she's established herself in Switzerland. She actually won Best Artist in Switzerland at this year's Swiss Awards. And it's a pity that when she's home, she's not as celebrated. So that's a reality that Joe is putting out there.
Thank you so much, Fee. And we are now eager to listen to some interesting songs you've prepared for us, where you're probably going to be playing some music too. Am I right?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Let me get my guitar.
Oh, wonderful. You're quite the talent.
I try. Let me do a little bit of a test, and if you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up.
Perfect.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Anyway, nahepa kukucheki anipenda yeye nimemwacha nyumbani yeye hajui vipi wanichanganya zingua maliza ili sijiwezi ni makosa baby forbidden fruits are sweet naenda imesiza kwake tokiweka shimoni sizwa yeah. Cause you're taboo. Oh yeah, when it's taboo, when it's taboo too. Cause you're taboo. No, yeah, when it's taboo, when it's taboo too. Yeah. Oh no. Oh.
I think we've lost the signal.
I think we have a technical glitch. Just a moment.